Welcome to the 80s TV Ladies, where we celebrate female-driven television of the 1980s, and thank you for being a friend. I'm Sailor Franklin, filling in for Melissa Roth. Here are your hosts, Susan+lambert+hatem and Sharon+johnson.
Hello, I'm Susan.
And I'm Sharon. And thank you, Sailor. Today, we welcome back friend of the pod and writer for television, movies, plays, and now books with his The Girls from Golden to Gilmore, Mr. Stan Zimmerman.
Stan Zimmerman is a prolific writer, director, producer, and actor. He is perhaps best known for his work with writing partner Gertrude+berg on the classic television female-driven comedies like Roseanne, Gilmore Girls, and of course, The Golden Girls. Stan also co-wrote the movies A Very Brady sequel and last year's Lifetime hit, Ladies of the 80s, A Diva's Christmas.
If you want to hear our first interview with Stan talking about A Diva's Christmas and his break into Hollywood, you can check out Season 2, Episode 20 of our show, From Golden Girls to A Diva's Christmas with Stan Zimmerman. Welcome back to 80s TV Ladies, Stan.
Thank you for having me back.
We're so excited.
I was hounding you. Please have me back. Not banging on your door, driving around your neighborhood. Now we're actually here in person. It's fantastic.
We had to get you to stop somehow.
Yes. As I fly on my way to Palm Springs, yes.
We're super excited to talk about your book. It's really wonderful. I got a chance to read it. I bought a copy and I can't find, I bought it and read it.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't find it because I wanted you to sign it while you were here. So I'm going to have to get you back and I'll just sign it.
Okay. I'd love to.
But it was like, as you see, we have a lot of books. And
just a few.
And then we have more in the house.
Okay.
But yours is here somewhere.
I'm looking for the color.
I know.
Well, I had fully intended to, and I will buy it as well. Because I have to order it from Barnes & Noble. They don't have it in store anymore. And just a lot's been going on the last couple of weeks for me. So didn't get to it, but I will.
I'll give you a hall pass.
Oh, thank you very much. Because I can't wait.
And is the book like you thought it would be?
You know, it's more personal. It's more personal. You thought it would just be
like spilling tea about all the shows that I worked on.
A little bit, but it's very much about the journey of a TV writer, right? Like, and
the
so
ups
that's
and downs, the being knocked down multiple times.
Yes,
and that's what people have commented. Like, how do you keep getting back up? So it did become almost a spiritual book. But how do you reinvent yourself? How do you keep going? Where do you find the strength? Luckily, through my writing partner, we pick each other up when each other's down. Very rarely have we both been down at the same time. There was a moment, and it's in the book, when we pulled over on PCH, and we're hoping like a rock slide would come down and just knock us out. It was just like so many times being battered and so close, and then not getting there. There's resilience in fighting, and I think that was important to tell that part of the story. And I think it's also personal because I started the book by going through my journals, which I had kept since my NYU days. We had a dance teacher. I don't know why she asked us to start keeping journals, because I never would have done it on my own. And luckily, I was writing in my journals during every single TV show, during Golden Girls and Roseanne and Gilmore Girls and Pilots and Rita Rocks. So what I did was, once I knew that the title of the book would be The Girls from Golden to Gilmore, and I thought, I can't write a book, and I've never done that.
What made you want to write it?
People they would always ask me the question, like, how could you write for women? You're this guy. And I was like, all right, let me just explain it in the book. And so not knowing how to write a book, I kind of outlined, but thought I would go chronologically. But I started going through, I said, the easiest first step is go through all the journals and pull all your quotes of all the women that you've worked with. Put them, I had to retype them into the computer. So as I'm typing them, I'm reliving it. I'm going, oh, wow. And like, you were knocked down again, but you got to get back up and you keep doing it. And then that kind of gave me the idea of, what if I put those in the book and then comment on them as I'm the human being I am today. And it's very different. You're very vulnerable, and I was very young when we started out.
Yeah.
And what was going through my head and how has it changed with my thoughts on different people. Like, my attitude toward the Betty+white was very different back then than it is now. And her stamp is coming out actually.
I saw it at the
I'm
post
very
office the other
excited.
day.
Yeah. Did you buy it? He didn't buy that either. Doesn't buy books. Doesn't buy stamps.
We're saving our money.
Okay.
We're running to Canada.
Okay. There.
But I'm curious about the journal. What was it that kept you doing journaling?
Journal. It was just a good place to release thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
They swirled a lot in my head, and I couldn't believe everything that I was seeing and the rooms that I was in. And, all of a sudden I'm at Jane Fonda's house, and then I'm sitting there getting stoned with Lily Tomlin. And then like, holy moly, just like somewhere, just put it down. I'm glad that I thought of that it just keep it somewhere, not knowing at the time that I would ever write a book, because I never thought I would ever do such a thing.
Now,
and I don't think I'll ever do it again.
Was there a journal entry that you had in the book and your editor said, don't take it out?
There's some that I pulled out that I felt would hurt people that are close to me, or just to be gossipy. If it didn't serve a purpose, I think when you read it, you'll find out it's a Valentine to all these women. It's my love towards them. And yes, there's some gossipy things, but I didn't want to just be bitchy to be bitchy. And I know some people have written books and said some things. I'm like, oh my God, I would never say that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Are you still journaling?
Of course, I'm going to be journaling about the two of you the minute I get out of here.
I had
so
this
watch
weird
what you
podcast with Sharon and Susan.
Yeah.
Who do they think they are?
Just reading things. My publishers were a little concerned about the subtitle of the book. So it's the girls from Golden to Gilmore, and the subtitle is Stories About all the Wonderful Women I've Worked With and Roseanne. And so when we were doing the layout of it, I was saying Anne Roseanne should be on the cover. And they're like, we shouldn't even have the subtitle. And what happens if she sees it? And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if she sees it, that's going to be a good thing. So the compromise was it's on the back cover. So you kind of have that. And then a book joke. Yeah. But pretty much everything. Once I got the first draft, they wanted me to go back and make it more like a script, actually, and make it dialogue rather than all just me telling the story from the journal point of view person. And at first I had a hard time with that because I didn't want to lie, like say, oh, Betty+white said this, and like quoting things. So I found a way to do it, and so that there was a nice balance.
It's very enjoyable. And then I'm curious about, you kind of start off the book with the three women that were most
in my
important.
life, yes.
Yeah.
My mother, my grandmother, my sister. And I credit them. Very smart, very funny, very verbal women. And I could listen to all that beautiful dialogue. And we were not shy about sharing our opinions with each other. And I think that's where I got that idea. I'm listening to women and how they talk differently, not knowing that actually that figuration of generations is exactly what Gilmore Girls was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Literally, my grandmother was very Emily Gilmore. And the fact that like Rory and Emily and my sister and my grandmother were very similar. And my mother was kind of in the middle. So that was like a whoa moment when I sat there and went, oh yeah, okay. I can do this. Yeah, I know this. I can do this. But I didn't know how quite I was going to end it. I just ended at Gilmore's for the title, and then we got the show Rita Rocks, and I was like, oh no, these are great stories about wonderful women. And then I started doing theater and playing, but I'm still doing all these plays about women. I'm writing plays about women, so I kept that going. And then as I'm writing it, during COVID started, and then my mother had a stroke, and 13 days in hospice, and it was the worst 13 days of my life. And it was like, oh, can I swear?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the end of the book.
Oh.
And if I'm so honest during everything else, I have to talk about grief. And I think that's something people can relate to. And it does harken back to different things in the book, like Golden Girls, when the first episode we wrote and we were about to shoot it, that week, Bea Arthur's mother passed. So it's interesting, all these full circle things that
Yeah.
are connected in some weird way. And as I say in the book, the producers offered to cancel the taping of the show.
This is for
Blanche and the Younger
Blanche,
Man,
yes.
or Rose's mother. We had two titles. I thought Blanche and the Younger Man could not be like, I didn't see, and the Emmy goes to, but you could be the Emmy goes to Rose's mother. That would be a little classier. But the Emmy did not go to.
No. But it could have.
Could have. We did get a Writers Guild nomination for it, so I was very thrilled for that. But Bea Arthur said, no, I come from the theater, and then in the theater we say the show must go on. And she just knew all these people that were employed, like, they need to go to work. So let's keep the plan and film it on Friday. But if you watch that episode, that scene between Bea and Estelle, when Estelle thanks Bea for treating her like a woman and not like an old lady. Oh, I mean, right now, even the hairs on my arms start standing up. Bea can't even look Estelle in the face because she knows she'll just break and start crying.
Emotion.
That's real emotion.
Yeah. That's amazing. Like, in that, that Bea Arthur was that old school, like,
Broad? Yes.
But also that old school actor of nothing stops for the show.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting to see where we are now. It's like, no, if people need like a mental day off, like, you take it. It's a very different way of looking at things. And even just like with illnesses, like, remember if we had a cold or sniffles, we would just go to work. It's like, now it's like, stay home. Like, those sniffles could be something we don't even know. So it's just how the world has changed.
I know, but so let's talk about the episodes that you are in.
Okay.
We're not going to talk about the world changing yet. We'll get to that.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Golden Girls part of the book and the episodes that you and Jim wrote.
Okay. But people have to understand, which they really don't. They think, because our names are on 3 of those. So the first one was just a freelance episode. And because we wrote such a great first draft, they brought us on immediately on staff on season 1. And the only reason I think we got those voices down is because, I was raised with, you do your homework. We went to all the tapings between getting the job and they started filming them. They were not on the air yet. Remember, this is just the summer before the show went on the air in 1985. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're just watching the taping and writing. They say that, look, Rose has all these long stories. So we put that in the show. Like, we're smart enough to know these are runners. This is the characters. Let's lean into what we saw. So I think they got that. And it's for our writing staff to get a good first draft that everyone can work off of. That's like gold.
Yeah.
So that's why they brought us on staff. We were not contracted to write any other episodes, but the writing staff was like, no, this is good. Let them go off and write another one. We can, then we can just rewrite it. So then, and we kept writing good ones. So that's why we ended up with 3. But you, as a writing staff, you work on all the episodes. So even if it's not written by, we're in the room, you're pitching jokes. I don't remember which jokes I pitched for that. There's so much craziness that goes on. But a lot of people don't understand that. And even like Susan Harris didn't understand that when it's in the book about when there's a phone call and I put the words that she left on Jim's phone, not machine, whatever it is, voicemail, and she was complaining about something and, you only wrote 3. Not to put her down because she's an amazing writer and she was in pain when she made the phone call. But she had Epstein-Barr, which was an autoimmune disease, so she couldn't come into work. So when she would write a script that week, we had an easy week because we really didn't rewrite very much of it. It was mostly trimming for time. We were in the trenches there every day. So for her to say, you only wrote 3 episodes, I want to say, honey, we were there, you weren't. I mean, she couldn't be, but you have to give credit. We were all there as a group, and it doesn't matter if you're story editors or staff writers or executive, producer writers on the show. You're all in the room together. You're all eating the same food, drinking the same coffee.
Yeah, it's a very, that's a story that happened to you, and she called and left a mean message, a terrible message that you never
Then she got me on the phone. Like, unlike Jim, I picked up the phone, not knowing it was her, and it was just like,
Oh,
And this was around the Me Too moment. So I didn't want to I wanted her to speak her mind. But then I just said, Susan, just hold on a second. You know how the business works. And every interview, including this one, I say, you're the genius behind it. You wrote the pilot. You came up with the characters. I mean, she's genius that she did that.
But this was in response to there being an announcement somewhere that there was going to be a quote unquote Golden Girls for Men. Right?
Yeah, Silver Foxes, which ended up being a play, and we licensed and published it in the Drama Bookshop in New York, which I still can't believe.
Congratulations!
Thank you. So we did a big production in Dallas with the brilliant Michael Urie, who was on the Apple show Shrinking when he directed it. And with Uptown Players, they just commissioned us to write a sequel to it. So we're doing the Silver Foxes 2 now. It's been done in Columbus. I'm going back to the end of October to Detroit, my hometown. They're doing a production there. We're hoping to do it in Palm Springs sometime very soon. So now it's being done all over the place, which is very exciting.
That is very exciting. And it's a weird thing to get upset about because there's a Golden Girls on a train every other season. Everything's announced.
And just because, the Hollywood Reporter calls this pilot or this play, it's an easy way to say it's a gay men's Golden Girls. That's like a headline. And that's what I said to her. I'm not saying it. They're saying it. And then she kind of got it.
She got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of emotion in Hollywood.
Well, she also, Paul Witt, her husband, had just passed. So I think...
You think she was...
I think she was still in the grieving period. And I think that probably she was, there was some memorial service and people were coming up to her thinking, hey, congratulations. I hear Golden Girls is being rebooted. And, once is fine. But if you're bombarded with that, it can be hurtful. So.
Yeah.
When Asad Khalada was kind enough to talk with us, he mentioned that he had spent several years watching sitcoms being made so he could learn how it all worked. And you mentioning that you were able to go and see a couple episodes before you guys wrote yours, which of course is all of that.
While we were writing.
Right, which is totally invaluable. First of all, there aren't that many sitcoms that are shot before a live audience that much anymore.
But back then,
there were
a lot.
Tons of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, some seasons there were 17, and we would have our pick, which show do you want to write? And now there's one. Maybe 2. Yeah.
But hardly any, basically, which unfortunately is too bad. Did they know you were perhaps being considered and let you come and watch or something like that? Because I think with Asad, it was something like he met a couple of people and they were kind enough to let him come and just learn. And
before that, we did have a mentor, Gary Keeper, who has since passed and worked at Paramount. So when we did move out here, we couldn't afford to even go to movies. So we would just go to free tapings of things. We went to Laverne and Shirley. We went to actually one of the first episodes of Cheers before it was on the air. So it was that summer between them picking up the pilot in the spring to it airing in September. And Jim and I looked at each other and went, this is exactly our style of writing. And we ran back home and we started writing a Cheers Spec script. Now, no other writer had seen Cheers. So we were the first Cheers Spec out there. So when that came out, it our life changed instantly. And we had written Alice, A Love Sydney, A Facts of Life. But that
Cheers
script was, people just oh my God, this, they loved the show. Before it became popular, it was in the industry, it was considered a very classy show. So that changed it. But I think Golden Girls, just being there and watching week after week, and back then seasons were, over 20 episodes.
Right. Yeah. It was 25 episodes.
So that was school for us, writing sitcom 101. And I was just talking to someone about playwriting, and they were like, well, do you want to work with the director and they can help you with cuts? And I'm like, you know what? I don't need help with cuts. When you think about a playwright during their lifetime, maybe writes 2, 3, 4, 5 plays. Think of how many half hours I worked on. And if you just even take my show Rita Rocks, I was in the editing room for 40 episodes. That's 40 little plays that I had to get cuts down to the exact second to go on the air. So I think I know about cuts in a good way. Like this is my experience that I can bring to the table, even though some people are like, it's too much. That was my training.
Yeah. And so what was it like to be there, the two of you?
Scary as hell. Think of it. You're going to work and you're looking at Bea Arthur. And Bea Arthur is saying words that you wrote, or you have to write words for Bea Arthur. Let's just stop there.
Yeah.
Then you add Betty+white. Then you add Rue McClanahan. Then you add Estelle Getty. Then you have Whit Thomas Harris that was like did soap. And like, I mean, that's a lot for any, especially a young person coming to LA
say,
and
how old were you
scared.
guys?
I say 15, but but obviously not. Just at the very,
Early
very
20s.
beginning, of our careers. And that was frightening. And then you want to get your option picked up, which it was. And then you want it picked up for season 2, which it was not. Even though Susan Harris said to us at the rep party, see you in a couple months. That was very hard to take. And it was the first knockdown. I was raised, you do good work, you move up the ladder. And we were doing good work and we got nominated for a Writers Guild Award. No, I mean, there's like, there's politics involved. It's a lot more than just doing good work in this business and in most businesses.
Right. Yeah.
Not even just in Washington, but here in beautiful Hollywood, there's politics involved and you have to learn how to navigate those politics. And that's a whole other ball of wax.
Sometimes those politics have nothing. There's nothing
to do with
you.
You.
Right. They have nothing to do with you.
First, it has nothing to do with your quality of work. And then it has nothing to do with you.
Right.
It's other things. And especially back then and now too, there's this toxic masculinity that we had to walk in. And as closeted gay men, there was all that. So that's just a lot to navigate when you're a young person and you're in the closet and you're trying to hide who you are to keep getting work.
Political politics at work is always difficult. It's almost never personal, but it's still one of the hardest things you have to learn how to navigate in whatever business it is. Yeah.
Do your work. And it's odd because in your work, you have to be really sensitive to do good work. But then, so I tell when I teach acting, it's show business. There's the show part where you're vulnerable and everything is out there and it's just oozing. And then there's a business, you have to put on a hard hat. So it's like da-da-da hat and then hard hat to protect yourself. And it's like, and some people, it's just too much for them and they can't handle it. And I think for whatever reasons we have been able to, and I think that's why we have some longevity, or also having a writing partner that you can just laugh at with and go like, did you just see what the they said? Or did that really happen? Or, wait, Roseanne has to be written out of this week's episode because she's getting electric shock? I mean, like, what? And but we had each other to.
Yeah, I was going to say, and how do you navigate that relationship? So fascinating.
I never thought I could because I had never really been in a romantic relationship, but a business relationship. I didn't, first of all, think I could be a writer because I didn't read. But then as a young 16, 17-year-old teenager in the suburb of Michigan, I knew there was going to be somebody out there. I didn't even know what a writing partner was, but I knew there was somebody that could complete me in a way. And I came through it from an acting background, and he came through journalism, so we came together with that. And we just naturally went into this thing, and we came up with our business name. So we were like, in college, we agreed we'd be known as Zimmerman+berg. I don't know why we said that. And then, but we would be credited as James Berg and Stan Zimmerman, which we thought, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
And then early on, we had this thing like, let's not talk during the weekend. And that way, Monday, when we got together to write, we'd be like, blah, 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 blah. And we kind of kept that going through the years until like we had like certain assignments and just, we had to get together on weekends. And it's really been just an interesting journey. And, there've been ups and downs, which I talk again about in the book.
You talk about that in the book a lot, which is really interesting because, the writing partnership is fascinating to me, right? I've written with people, but I never had a long-term writing partnership.
We're still doing it.
And you're still doing it.
How crazy is that? That all these years later, there were years where it was like 5 days a week. And then on weekends, I was writing my plays with another person. And now it's not as much because he kind of had a midlife crisis and didn't want to spend all those hours on a sitcom. And I'm like, what? Like, I thought this is what we're working for. So that was a real shocker. It was around the Gilmore Girls time. And I was like, oh, okay. And that's when I started going back into theater and then directing plays and then ultimately writing plays. And all those weekends of writing plays now have come to fruition. And now I'm directing those plays all over the country. And now he's like, hey, where are you going now? And it's like, let's come back and write this or that. I'm like, well,
I'm busy.
People seem interested in these plays, and I love going to different towns and doing them. And that's been just a really exciting new chapter of my life.
That is exciting. That is really, really cool. Okay, so back to the Golden Girls. You're in season 1. Blanche and the younger man, Rose's mom, is
the flu.
And then adult education and the flu. Which was the one that you wrote, the first one that got you the staff gig? Was it Blanche?
No, Blanche and the younger.
Okay, yeah. So this first one, because it's a beautiful Golden Girls.
I don't know how we did it. It still shocks me sometimes. So years later, I was actually on set of Hot in Cleveland, and I was observing the director because people said, Stan, you're directing theater. You should be directing sitcoms. I'm like, okay, well, some nice money in that. And it felt the natural. I shadowed the director for 13 shows and still couldn't get a job. A lot of those directors are like, I'm not giving him an episode. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, you're directing 15, 20 episodes. You couldn't give me one? But anyway, I learned a lot, and I met a lot of wonderful actors through that. But I was on Hot in Cleveland, and Todd Milliner, one of the producers, knew me, and he says, oh, we're doing benefit for Celebration Theater. And Celebration Theater had given me my first directing theater gig. And they said, we're going to do the cast of Hot in Cleveland reading a script of the Golden Girls. Can you recommend an episode from the series in any of the years? I'm like, Todd, you're going to do one of mine. Hello. And he's like, well, can you email it to me? I'm like, Todd, we wrote them on typewriters. There's no
folder.
What am I going to do? I can fold it up and so I said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to bring my original copy. And you're going to treat it like it's, like it is gold. It is gold. It is definitely gold. And I watched it as I copied and I thought the machine would eat it up or something. And we did Blanche and the Younger Man. And I got to watch Betty+white do it, but she would not play Rose.
Yeah. So who did she play?
She wanted to play Dorothy.
Of course she did.
Which that to me is like, you don't need a therapist to figure that one out. But anyway, that was quite interesting. And seeing the great Wendy Malick and that whole Valerie Bertinelli. And I went down to rehearsal before, they just rehearsed it once. And then we had a sellout on the set at CBS Radford.
Wow.
And I'm just listening. I'm going, what young man would write this story, and the way the words and the way they talk, it was like, but it was the most magical evening. And I think they had to pry me from the set to leave because I just was soaking it all in. It was such a beautiful, really a full circle, cool moment.
That is so cool. That is so cool. And so the lines, there's some famous lines from that. What's your favorite? Do you have one?
In what, Blanche? Dog years?
Yeah, that's
so that was in, I think, the rough draft. So what made us write in what, Blanche, dog years? Why did we put it in that order? We just heard it in those voices, and it's like the perfect order, but it doesn't really make sense, Yeah. But coming out of her mouth, it's like, of course, she has to say it that way.
It's all that watching her.
I think just watching,
cadence.
Yes, yeah. And that's an art unto itself, which I learned at a young age when I started taking acting classes at age 7.5. And they said, just go watch, listen to other people, observe people. An actor is about observing and listening. And I just took that, did that in my acting, and I put that into my writing.
I think that's also the writer. The power of the writer is the power of listening.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, that's, I think, my favorite line from the show.
Because even when we saw the cheers, we noticed, when Cliff or whatever come in, they would just come in and go, hey, hey, right? We would never write that. That's not a joke. Yeah. But if you notice when they come in, they go, hey, hey. We're like, oh, let's write that down. So when we did our cheer spec and we did, hey, hey, people were like, why would they even know to do that? There was no scripts to read, but we heard that's what they did each time they came in. And it was just part of their vernacular.
It's very important if you want to be a writer that you study writing.
What you want to
And
write.
you want to study what you want to
Yes.
write. And you break it down and then you.
But now you can get copies of scripts everywhere, and so you can read it. Oh, that's the way they did it. Like when we were doing our first Spec script of Alice, there was no Alice Spec scripts that I could get in New York in my little fifth floor walk-up studio with 2 burners on the half of a refrigerator. I had to sit and watch episodes of Alice with a notepad and go, okay, they have like, I would time it. Okay, they have a 2-minute little thing and then a commercial, and then the show comes back. And then there's like 3 scenes, commercial, 3 scenes, and then the tag. Or I didn't even know it's a tag. And this little thing at the end. And then I'd watch the next episode. Oh, it's like the same thing. I'm going, hey, there's a format to it. And that's how we learn the format.
That's the assignment that my husband, when he's teaching writer, he's a writer too for TV.
Yeah.
And he the first thing he does if he's working with somebody, it's like, I want to write this. It's like, go watch one.
Watch it. Yes.
Write it down.
Yes.
Because once you write it down, it becomes...
You can see it.
You can see it.
Yeah. Even if you want to direct multicam, I say even to actors, look at a show like Friends. You can literally count. If you just did 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras, you could go this shot, 1, 4, 3, 3, 2, 1, 4. You can start seeing it. And it's like, oh, that's how it's put together.
Yeah. All right. So of the 3
episodes with our names on it.
With your names on it. And I know you worked on all of them.
But I got some so funny questions on the last cruise. Someone would say to me, so were you in the room with those 4 ladies? And I'm like, no, Rose, I was in Altadena, whatever, writing it. Of course I was in the room with them. What do you think? Did they rehearse it? Like, what? Are you crazy? Of course they rehearsed it. I went to work. I saw them at work. They were my coworkers. And I say it in a loving way, but I throw a little, little Dorothy in. Come on, let me have some fun.
But I can understand if you're not, in some level, if you're just watching it at home and not thinking about how it's made, because that was me.
Yes.
These people are just sitting there and these things just come out of their mouth. You don't think about.
I have said some things on Facebook when these Facebook groups, and I'm in a lot of them, and they don't.
You're in ours.
Yeah, of course. And there's a herring scene at the table, and Betty+white says something and the other women laugh. Well, people say, oh, Betty+white ad-libbed that and she cracked them up. And I'm like, hello, no. Like every word was written. And then people start fighting. It's like, well, what do you know about it? And someone say, he's damn.
You wrote it?
Yeah. And then people like Marsha, other people that worked on the show will send copies of the script with the actual words. And I think it's a testament to their acting that it looked like it was improv and they're so talented. But they said every single word that was written. And unlike any other TV show I've been on, they thank the writers in every interview. If you ever, go to YouTube and like whether it's, Merv Griffin, any talk show, they say it's the writers. They don't just say the writer, Susan Harris. They knew it was collectively this crazy group of people over the years.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. So anyway, let's talk about you coming into Golden Girls. How did your agent or whoever sent you over describe it?
What do you mean?
Okay, you're going to go meet on
how
this.
do they pitch to us or to them?
To you.
We were running around. Yeah, it was just another meeting. Remember, at that time, the idea of a show about 4 older women in Miami, you go, well, it's cute, but no one's going to watch that. That was a conventional wisdom.
Yep.
So we were out pitching. We had been on staff, and then we did a bunch of freelance episodes. We wrote an episode of Fame that this unknown person,
Jackson.
a little person called Janet Jackson was in.
We talked about that on our last episode.
Yeah. And Debbie Allen directed. And then so we were out pitching to Family Ties, and we did get an episode of Valerie, which ended up turning into the Hogan family. And then we went and pitched to Golden Girls. So you go in, because there was no computers to send us the pilot. You went into the office, and then you sit in a room and watch the pilot, and then you go away and you come up with episode ideas, and you come back and pitch them.
That same day or
no, they
later?
give you a couple of days. Yeah. Sometimes they're very awkward. Like there'll be some producers that will sit with you. And it's like, yeah, that's weird. No, because we like to like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's not funny. Or, oh, that's fantastic. Well, whatever. So we went and pitched to the Valerie family, got that, and went and pitched to Golden Girls, got that. So something just, I don't know why, maybe it was our agent, said this could be something. You should focus on this. So we told Valerie, like, they bought the story, but we didn't write it. And we just focused everything on Golden Girls. And I'm glad we did.
Yeah. And then what, so now you get hired somehow.
Yes. Somehow. I don't know how. Suddenly, and then it went from, yeah. I mean, but it was before they filmed our episode, so it was like they just knew from that draft. And then suddenly they're like, and now you're at Sunset Gower. And here's your office. I'm like, okay, here's our office. And then they said, and then there's like this PA guy who's going to be watching because we want to just teach him how sitcoms are done. That was Chris Lloyd, who co-created Modern Family. And he's sitting on the couch watching me and Jim freak out every day. So he had it was like theater to him. He's like, what? This is a great show. And we're just like, ah. And we weren't shy. We just kind of forget he was there. And we would just go, oh my God. And what do we do? I'm like, and then they would say, from another episode, we need what's called a blow, the end of the scene. Like we need Bea Arthur or maybe it was Sophia to have the last joke of the scene. You two go off and come up with 5 and then come back in the room and pitch it to us. Not intimidating at all to go in and pitch to like these Soap and Benson writers. And then Jim would usually say like, you do it, you're the actor. So then I would go in and I would do my Blanche and, I'm just devastated. Like I would like become a drag queen right there in front of everybody. But I had to sell the joke and they would laugh and they would pick one and they would go into but we sat in that room and I go, we can't do it. We're not joke writers. We're not funny. We don't know how to do it. And then we just like, you don't have a choice, and you have to do it or you're not going home. So we learned to do it.
It's just so interesting listening to you talk about in so many ways how things were at the time when you started working on Golden Girls. And just from what obviously much little I know, it seems like things in a lot of ways are very, very different, whether it be how you get the material, how you, as you were being considered, you walk in someplace.
I literally type the material.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
there's that.
Yeah. And get and be able to see what it is they're asking you to work on or to pitch something about.
Even in the writer's room.
Right.
I mean, now they have it up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was no screen to put it up on. It was just someone there writing, taking notes. And then they would go off and, I guess, type it in. And then we would read it. So we'd be waiting a lot of times for them to make copies of things for us to read. Whereas like now you can just all see it on the screen or I guess they could go right to your computer and do it.
I was visiting a friend of mine that's on an animated show, the new Phineas and Ferb. And
I know Martin. Was Martin there? Yeah.
Martin was there. I love
Martin. You know Martin?
I know Martin. I also know Michael Matthews, by the way.
Oh, well, Martin is a mentor at the castle. I was just spent some time with him in France.
He's delightful.
I'm having dinner with him next week.
Okay, we'll say hi for me.
I will definitely do that.
But it was so funny because they were Zooming with other either writers, producers. They had the script up. They were punching it up. Mm-hmm. And it was happening in real
time.
It was real time. And you're like, this is so crazy. Like it's
crazy.
It's crazy how fast it is now.
And the writer's assistant, like they would hear like a room full of writers and they would like put all the jokes down and then certain ones would get in there. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, that in and of itself.
No, I could never have done that.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I would imagine in some ways it's made things easier. But in some things, I
think easier. I think easier.
But then, easier. But it's also, I think the challenge for all of filmmaking's easier. But then a lot of bad decisions get made at the last minute somehow still.
How is that possible? Yeah.
Because you don't have to plan. I think it's now you don't have to plan.
What do you mean?
I think for effects-driven movies in particular.
Yes. You mean just type in AI or
not even just type in
ChatGPT?
AI, but I imagine that somebody came up with that, like, oh, she drops the thing and the thing, in Snow White. And then later it's
or like an executive says, we
That'd
need
be
that.
cool
Yeah,
if it does this.
we need a portal. We did some testing and you have to have a portal. And like, how the hell am I put a portal in there? We'll just put a f***ing portal in. And then suddenly,
And it's
I
like,
got a portal.
Well, from a technology standpoint, I worked at marketing at ABC for a number of years in the promo department. So they would cut all of and produce all of the reels for all of the new shows. Now, before satellites came along, they had to have everything done by like whatever time had the tapes at the airport by the time the last plane was flying to New York to get it there in time. But now, when you have somebody indecisive working on it, there were times when in the middle of the show, they're working on the ending. It's not done because somebody said, because I knew it could be done, we want to change this, we want to fix that, this isn't, whatever. So there's an upside and a downside to, as with everything, to the technology of it. But more than that, I'm just thinking about in terms of what the two of you as writers, you have this chance to go in and you're sitting and you're watching the episode of, say, The Golden Girls, as we were talking about. It just seems like you had more time to really do thinking and had more time to, at least initially, or at least sometimes, as opposed to trying to, figure out 50 things to do, or some people aren't making decisions because they don't have to at the last minute, up until the very last minute. And I don't know what degree that even makes any sense, actually.
Yeah, but you have to like get dressed and get in the car and go over there and then park and and now you can I can just walk, 5 steps and get on Zoom. Like the time that saves.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And then
it's more fun to come in person.
It is. That's why I came out here to beautiful Pasadena.
All right. So going back to your book.
Okay.
You have so many stories in your book about so many amazing women and your friendship with them.
Yes.
You want to talk about some of them? Like Sandra Bernhard?
Oh, I love Sandy, as we call her.
I would like to
Sandy
know.
Land.
I think you need to tell the story about how you ended up in a women's bathroom with Sandra Bernhard
and Madonna. Madonna on the account, the washing. What's that called? Where you wash your hands. The
counter.
I guess it's a counter, right?
The sink basin
area. Yeah, whatever. It was this down and dirty club on Pico, and we would,
Here in L.A.
Here in L.A., yes. Yeah,
New York.
We were down in Pico. We would go dancing, and it was just a super cool club, and I knew the owners, and Sandra would come because we all were hanging out with the same group of people, and then by that point, she was friends with Madonna. And then all of a sudden, the door swings open, and it's Madonna and Warren Beatty together, so they were dating at that time. And then I just remember them, he would just sit in the corner. He'd be like, "Yeah, you just go dance with your gay boyfriends," and then all of a sudden we're on the dance floor with Madonna. So think of that. So, you're like, how did that happen? And then Sandra just said I'm coming to the bathroom, come with me or something. And then I'm like, okay. And then there's Madonna in there, and there's just the three of us. And I think I was trying to buddy up to her, show her that I was cool. I'm I'm from Michigan too. And I don't know if it worked. I mean, obviously it didn't because we didn't become fast friends.
You didn't stay,
No,
Yeah.
Why didn't she want to hang out with me and drag me on David Letterman? But I so respected her and I loved her music and still do. And it was just fun to be in that orbit. And it was just and people say, "Oh, you do a lot of name dropping," but that's who came to the club where I was dancing with friends. That was just Madonna there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very exciting.
They were name dropping because they're like, "Oh, let's go to that club where Stan is."
Yeah, well, I'm sure they were doing that. No, but nobody cares about me. I mean, that's what's kind of fun about doing these cruises and fan festivals. For 2 days on a weekend, people care about me or know who I am, or everyone's so great, but they always started with "We hate to bother you," and I said, "You're not bothering me. For a writer, it's so exciting for me to hear what did the show mean to you." That's why I see obviously Golden Girls mean something.
Yeah.
So to hear all those stories come back for a writer, because we're usually invisible. We're watching and observing and listening. Actors get it all the time, but we can just be So that's kind of fun to go and to do that and to have that energy just come at you, wherever I go. And then I come back to LA and it's like, step aside, knocking me over, at wherever it is, Ralph's or whatever, supermarket. And so it is a little bit of a like, okay, you're back to reality. All right.
I know, but you've had so many, we love you. Okay.
You do.
So
Yes,
we do.
okay.
And you again, in the book, it's so, you're like, oh, and then you're going to Carrie Fisher parties.
To get invited to the Vanity Fair party. And, we all watched it at home in our pajamas, which I did. Then I dressed, got in the car, went to the Vanity Fair party, and I'm standing next to Oprah Winfrey that I just saw on TV in that outfit. And I'm like, why am I wearing this little schmata? And so it's like, I think people like this Midwestern boy somehow ended up in these little spots. And it's funny and weird. And I, still have all the baggage of being that just nerdy theater kid that somehow landed here and ended up in certain places.
But at what, was there a point where you're like, either you and Jim or you were like, I made it?
I never think of it that way. It's like, it's always moving. I think when I was younger, I thought that you got to this plateau and you could just I'm just going to hang here. No, you ain't hanging anywhere. It's like, you got to keep going. You got to keep moving up because it's changing or people are passing you by. And so it's always...
There's always something.
It's always work and it's exciting. And I think it's important to be in the present and appreciate and how lucky you are. But it's never about oh, look where I am. It's like, look where I am. Oh my God, That's kind of... And it just keeps going. Oh my God, I'm here. I'm I'm going to be in a castle in France or in Italy. How did I get here? This I walked into this fairy tale, and I'm so grateful and have always been. And I think that's the being raised, by my mother and in the Midwest in this little suburb to really appreciate each moment, whether it's on the set when I'm standing there at Sunset Gower, looking one side is a bleacher full of all these people I don't know, and then there's Bea Arthur and Betty+white and Rue McClanahan and Estelle Getty, and they're saying my lines and they're laughing at my lines. And that's just whoa.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I would imagine that that's the kind of approach, that's the kind of thought that helps keep people grounded, if you will, in this crazy town. Because it always seems like no matter where you are, there's somebody higher up the food chain than you. There doesn't seem to, and it's really easy to get sucked into, I need, this is great, but I'm looking beyond how wonderful things are right now, today.
Well, it's appreciated. And I have a lot of friends, and I think I talk about this in the book, where they'll sell a pilot, and I'll go, congratulations. I'll call them up, and they'll go, it's never going to happen. You just sold it 2 hours ago. You can't even enjoy
Take
that.
A moment.
Take a moment, enjoy it. And yes, of course, we don't know where anything's going to go, but you have to enjoy the road along the way. And yes, there's going to be times and things, and you're going to trip and fall and stub your toe. And you know what? It's going to heal, and you're going to get better, and then you're going to keep going, and then there'll be something else along the way, and trust the process and enjoy the process, because you can't stop it. It's just, you can fight it, but then where do you get?
Yeah, and it's, I think just in life in general, I think it's really important to take the moment and appreciate it. There's always going to be ups and downs coming forward, but if you don't take those moments, then it just can suck all of the joy out of your life. And,
yes, that's what I wanted. I think what you got from the book, that it's not just stories, that it's things philosophies you can take into any job, any part of your life, and hopefully, skip through life and enjoy it. My mother said that my brother came out of the womb just crying. And she said, I came out laughing with just a big smile on my face. And she said, I think I got a happy kid. And I think that's just my nature and why I am the way I am.
Yeah, it took me a little bit longer to get there,
but
I try to do that as much as I possibly can.
Well, you know what to say about trying. Don't try, just do it.
That's what Yoda says.
Yes, that's what I teach in my acting class. I have people, I saw this, they will be take this pencil from me. Okay. Now try to. you never get the pencil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So words are powerful. Watch what you tell yourself. If you're saying, I'm going to try to do it, in your mind, you're giving yourself an out almost, like, I'm never going to really do it.
Yeah, that's true.
So either just say, I'm going to do it. But just, I know. You're going to hate me. Yes.
Stan Zimmerman philosophy.
I should do a TED Talk. Yes. I would love to, but I couldn't write it. I'd have to get like Chet, to do it for me.
Yeah.
Maybe perform it. That's a lot of words. Do they just memorize it, or is there like a monitor or something?
I think you can have a monitor.
Okay, thanks.
I would hope so. I mean, I can't imagine somebody would go out there and not be just sort of wing it as they're standing there trying to memorize
there's also a lot of rehearsal. They might memorize it.
Rehearsal, okay. I could do
it's like an acting. You can act the part.
Okay,
Stan. I know you could.
Act the part of me, which is what I've been doing now in my suicide awareness play, acting the narrator, which is basically me. And with a very, very heavy subject.
Yes.
And I've been doing it all over the country. And I did it recently in Virginia with high school kids. And I wanted to do that with 2 adult actors and then 2 young students, audition kids, put them in the play, and give high school kids like their first professional job to put on the resume would be
That's great.
with me and other adult actors. And I just, actually yesterday heard from one of the girls the girl that was in it. She goes, you changed my life. Like, we just treated her like, you're a professional actor and you're acting with us. They had never had that. They maybe do play in camp or high school with other kids, but it was suddenly real. And with something heavy that they felt they could make a difference in the world.
That is amazing. I think that's really powerful. We just had a reading of my new play.
Okay. Fun. We'll be doing a play together, won't we?
Yes, we will be. Basically, there were 3 high school students that were involved with it, 2 as musicians and 1 as assistant director, because I knew she was interested, and I was like, do you want to come do this? And she wrote this amazing, sort of email afterwards to the whole team going, thank you for my first professional gig and the thing, and it was so great. And it's so, you're like, that's
changed their life. Yeah. Like if someone had given me that opportunity.
I know. You're like, come along for this ride and we'll walk you through the steps of it. So it was. And
the tentacles that happens by you picking that person and then what they do in the rest of the world. And it does make a difference.
It does make a difference how you treat other people, what you, lifting up other people. As we know, it's maybe our only option at this point.
Theater is hard.
Theater's hard.
But you know what? Right now, we're the first line of resistance. And it's important for theater artists to get out there and connect with real humans. And you see that, interestingly, in town halls and, with Bernie and AOC going out there, having that connection in person, I think is important. And they're doing a version of theater, I guess. And for us to go out there, either make people laugh or provoke conversation, like what I'm doing with the suicide play. Otherwise, you can just, you want to crawl under your bed and under the covers and hide and go, I can't make a difference, but you can.
You can. And it's showing up and it's telling stories and it's about connecting with people and realizing like, hey, we're all in this together.
Yeah, we're on this planet together. And the othering of people, it's just got to stop.
It's wrong.
I mean,
it's so wrong.
Are only better by our differences and that we're what each person can bring to the table. I mean, we want all kinds of people, and I can learn from you and
diversity is indeed our strength.
Can't learn from Kevin.
No, it's true. We've gotten into some weird upside down universe, and the only way out, I think, is together. We have to recognize how important human beings are to each other. Everyone is valuable and needed and connected. And I don't know, it's a very scary time. And it's hard to write in a very scary time, I think, sometimes.
I've actually done more writing. First of all, I turned off MSNBC, which was
that'll do
it was my choir. And I was like eating dinner around it. I like, if Lawrence O'Donnell was on, I was there, and all the people. And after September, I was just like, no, I'm not going to get sucked in with that. And I'm like writing all these plays and doing all this stuff. I'm like, okay, I have time to do and see people and have experiences in the world, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's important to tell all the stories, right? And, we need to react to when Bea Arthur is taken off of the military website
Yeah.
for her service to our country.
I think they have put her back on. I think there was such a groundswell. Golden Girls
I know,
people
but they probably didn't put back on other people that didn't get the groundswell.
Yeah,
so,
like one of the guys in Iwo Jima, or Jackie Robinson. I mean, the list goes on and on. I just thought we were over this waking up and
being
what is it today? Is the world still going on? I just want to wake up and
have government be boring again.
Have coffee first of all.
Yes.
Let's just start there. Can I just have coffee without having to scroll through TikTok and go, holy,
have my brain explode?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you feel comfortably? We're going to wrap up, but I have a couple more questions.
Yes.
When did you feel comfortably out in Hollywood?
About 2 minutes ago. No.
And
well, it was way after Golden Girls. Golden Girls were in the closet.
Yeah.
So, and then a few years went by, and because it was considered an old boys network to be on a writing staff. I mean, actually, when we were beginning, we would read articles about Gary Marshall and his staff of writers, and it said, I remember Gary saying something about, during breaks from writing, we all go and play basketball. I'm like, well, I can't play basketball, so I can't be a writer. Like that, I put those two together, and I got to meet Gary Marshall actually. I think there was a free alternative newspaper called the LA Weekly, and they were doing a piece on Hollywood gay people, and somehow it came to us, and we went to our representatives and said, I don't even know if we asked. We just said we were going to do it. And I don't know. We don't think that's a good idea. And we're like, well, we're doing it. I mean,
no try.
No, don't try. Just do it. It was like, we're out in our life. I think by that point, we were probably out with people at work. And it's like, we need to just be out in the world and so that other people can see it's okay. But we were probably the first writing team to be out. And then all these other magazines wanted to do stories about us because it was something unusual. I mean, there were even very few women writers and staff. So a lot of times we had to be like the women police, and I'd have to raise my hand and go, if there was a character description of this woman, and it was like, she's 28 and pretty. And I'm like, excuse me, can we give her one more characteristic? I mean, won't it help us in writing? And what is that? And they're like, why? Just do the jokes and move on. I'm like, no, come on, we can do it.
And did you feel like you might be costing yourself something by doing that?
It didn't matter at that point. I mean, in the beginning, I think we wanted to keep jobs and we wanted our contracts renewed, so we kept quiet. And now I think about it and I go, so they would really fire us because of that? But then, maybe that was part of why we didn't get asked back for Golden Girls. Did they not want to have to talk about it or to think about what they said in the room? Think about all the things that were in the rooms when we weren't there.
Yeah.
Do you think there were people, or most people though, knew over time that they kind of figured out or that they were told?
Yes.
And
it was freeing once. But then when it came out, there was a period where that's all they wanted to do was talk about it. And then we would say to the writer staff, can we just go back to the show? But they were so curious. Or we were at an office at Paramount and there was a big window and there would be this gorgeous girl would walk by and they were like, nothing? And I'm like, no, I mean, it's a nice outfit. I wouldn't have, matched that top with the pants, and then a hot guy would walk by and we'd go to them, nothing. So, and then one time we were out of the room writing a script and the writer's assistant said, there was a group discussion between all the men, there were only men writers. If they were on a desert island and they had to hook up with one of me or Jim, which one would they pick?
What?
Yeah, it's always on a desert island with straight guys. Otherwise they couldn't do it. You throw them on a desert island, things happen. Things happen. Love Island, folks. I got the executive producer, so I thought I won. Yeah, I won. I won there. But I was like, really? They're talking about us about that?
Well, and how many times that's happened for women out of the room.
Oh, I'm sure all the time. All the time. But I'll think about the sexist things they would say. I mean, we've hopefully come a long way. And, as we would start to do our own shows, I'd be like, can't we just have an all-woman writing staff? Like I would just be my happy place. And always, I mean, as you know in the book, I was always friends. My best friends were women. And back then we would talk on a phone for hours and dissect everything in life. And it's just, for whatever reason, that was where I felt comfortable.
And it's true. You talk like I'm also like curious about your friendship with Lily Tomlin and your development with Lily Tomlin. We love Lily.
We love Lily. She's a goddess. The minute as a young kid I saw her on Laughing, I was like, who the hell is that? And these characters, I mean, they were just smart characters. And then she was from Detroit and I was from Detroit. So then when she was coming, she had an album come out and she was coming back to J.L. Hudson's department store to sign the album. And I was like, Mom, we are going there. I don't care if I have school, we're getting out of school. And she knew I loved her. And she dragged me to there and Lily signed the record. And I got to show Lily when she came to my house. I dragged the record out. And
cool.
That was really cool. And then one time, my mother, she fed my obsession for Lily. And thank God she did that. But Lily was, very involved in the women's movement. And there was a NOW meeting. And it was downtown. And she took me and my little sister to see Lily Tomlin. She didn't tell my father where we were going because it was a NOW meeting. And,
it was downtown.
My God, it was downtown. And, there were women there and there were lesbians there. And who knows what could have happened. But I got to see Lily Tomlin perform there. And it was really, really cool. I got to tell her that as well. So thank God that my mother saw this and she was not afraid to
let you bloom and let
me be who like that was. It's like for whatever reason I loved her and encourage that. I got to bring my mother and Lily together. My mother was living in Santa Barbara and it was my mother's birthday and Lily was going through town doing Signs of Intelligent Life, and she was so nice to my mother. And I was like, okay. All's well in the world. This is perfect. So, and I, now I never really thought like what my mother must have thought, like remembering all these years of like way back when. And then here we are. And like, my son is just like hanging with Lily Tomlin.
Mm-hmm. Hanging with Lily Tomlin.
Thanks to her.
I was going to say, and then you tell another story about your performance in elementary school.
Oh, God. No one's asked about that.
I want to tell that story, please.
I thought I would bury that in the book.
No,
and we'll end on that.
It's so beautiful.
It is. It's embarrassing, and I never really have mentioned it to anybody except in the book. But
you wrote it
in the book, so I guess people. You mean when the first time I was in drag, first and only time, in I think 5th grade talent show, I dressed in drag and did Ernestine in front of my elementary school. Like what my parents must have thought.
Did you get laughs?
Of course I got laughs. That was funny. And I did the whole, the whole thing. I did everything. But that was pretty brave. I don't think if I had really had thought about it, but I think at some point we had a discussion in my family. It was like, he's doing a character. So it wasn't like I was being a woman. It was a character. So he's an actor. These are just characters. I think that's how my father got through it. I'm sure he was embarrassed probably, but the fact that his son got laughs, like he couldn't not see and hear that. And I think that's what allowed him to go through.
Allowable.
Yes.
Yeah. And how was that relationship with your dad?
Not good. And in the end, being a middle child, I was always wanting like my sister and him to get along. And then I just didn't like the way he treated people. And I finally, you can't change people. You can walk them to the water, but doesn't mean they're going to get a drink from it. I had to step away. And he had to be who he was. He was never going to learn. And that was, it's very disappointing when, whether it's a family member or a friend, they have to do their thing. I didn't understand, like, at this point of your life, like, just enjoy your kids. Yeah. Like, why do you have to, you can't mold them into whatever they're going to, just enjoy it. I mean, you've done your work. So, yeah, unfortunately, at the end of his life, we didn't talk. And
That's tough.
it's tough, but you know what?
It's
I feel like now, if for me, it's a very low bar to be in my life. Like, you have to accept me as an equal human being.
that's all.
You would think that's all, but there's, 77 million that don't see me as that.
Yeah.
And if you can't meet me at that place, then I just don't have time anymore. Like, I want to be surrounded by love and people in this community that I've created. And that's where my family is.
Yeah.
There's enough negativity out there. Why have it in the people that you're closest to, that you're dealing with?
No, just because they have the same last name or they grew up in the house that you were in. Mm-mm.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm from Georgia. I have,
No, so yeah.
and I'm very lucky. I had I had two parents that were very different, but equal in their respect for other people and in their understanding that if that feeling uncomfortable was not an attack on them. And so they could talk about feeling uncomfortable and being in situations of feeling uncomfortable, and which meant they could talk about, racism, and they could talk about sexism, and they could talk about, being, equal to everybody, even when they were uncomfortable and didn't understand it. My mom has come a long way in a lot of her thinking, particularly around LGBTQ issues. And it's been work. It's like, well, she just didn't understand it, but it didn't keep her from wanting to understand or denying people's existence or
That's where the
moving
difference
through.
is.
And so it now has become like she's a champion, and she's a champion for human rights and for civil rights. And she's 85 and a little old white lady from Georgia. Well, she's not from Georgia, so that probably helps too.
But it doesn't matter what age. I mean, if you have an open heart, that's ageless.
Yeah.
So and it's great that she's a champion, but you don't have to be a champion. You just have to let everyone just be.
Yes.
That's very, very, you think would be very simple, but for other people, for whether they gives them a leg up, if they have somebody that they can stand on or put down, I don't know. I never got that. And being a Libra, again, it's just, I want fair and balance. I just want people to be fair about it. And but I'm so sensitive about other people. And a lot of my writing is about putting myself in other people's shoes.
Yeah.
And that's very thematic in my work. And also people said there just seems to be a heart in there. So I always go to like, well, what? I have no idea what it's like, or to be like you or anybody here. But if I can just for a second, and that's why when people say, well, you can only write what you are. I think, no, why are we taking away a learning of possibility? Let some straight white guy write a gay character. Maybe he'll feel what it's like to be in my shoes.
That's what has happened since the dawn of time. People don't write about just people that are them or like them. They write about all kinds of people. They have to tell their story because that's what's in the world. And if you're going to create a world, you're going to have all kinds of people, and you can't tell a story without that.
But we also have to create more spaces where people do tell their stories, because there's so many people that we have not been able to give them platforms and spaces and places to be seen, whether it's television or movies or theater. They haven't. And well, we can do both. Yeah. Everyone's always like we can walk and chew gum.
We have room enough for everyone and love enough for everyone.
I was writing with somebody and he's like, oh, I hope their project dies. And I'm like, you cannot talk like that in my house.
Yeah.
I mean, let everybody succeed. There's enough room even for us to tell similar stories. No one is going to tell the story from my shoes and my eyes. Yeah. I tell that to actors. If you have twins, it's still a different perspective. Unless it's
this
like
side of the room
exactly,
and the other side of the room.
Unless not even conjoining twins, they're still slightly different. And that's the difference is what I think is so beautiful in art, your perspective.
Absolutely. And I think it's the power of being able to see from other people's perspectives that gives you an ability to write, and gives you an ability as a young man to write Bea Arthur, to write for Bea Arthur. And because you're like, we're sincerely approaching that. And I want to
understand that. So when people say like, how would you know that? Like, oh, maybe that's how my mother and grandmother felt. Oh, okay. Maybe that helps me understand why they were fighting about that, or all those different specifics. And I would never have had that if I wasn't writing for those characters.
I'm just starting my revisit, right? Like just started with season 1. And again, like
you can stop after that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that is the best ones.
Wow.
3 particular episodes out of the 25 that are really
It's hard to believe there's anything better.
Yeah. That first season was
there
perfect.
was something about it unfolding that was different than others. And I have to say, now watching future episodes, it will get me into trouble, but it was very different. To me, it always felt like they were the carbon copies or faded copies of jokes we had done. And there was also something and since talking to some writers, they got joy out of, let's give them those old ladies dirty lines to say. And like, no, we never thought that. We were always like, they were gods in my eyes. So I only wanted to give them like pearls,
There's so much world building in that first season and so much character building. And you're inventing all the, St. Olaf's and all these sort of tropes for the Golden Girls that became, what they're known for. It's a pretty spectacular first season. I will give you that.
Oh, give it to me. Thank you.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me back.
This has been really fun.
It really has. Well, we will have to figure out a way to have like Stan's Corner or something occasionally.
Sure. I love it. Put baby in the corner.
Thank you.
Bye.
Here at 80s TV Ladies, how much we love to shout out the amazing ladies of the 20th and 21st century. And we love podcasts who shout out amazing ladies of any time. So we want to tell you about the Art News podcast. Every episode, they focus on telling the stories of the women pictured in the most famous works of art through history.
What an incredible idea for a podcast. Please check out Art Muse Podcast and hear host Grace Anna, who aims to reinterpret works of art by bringing the stories of the women in those paintings to life. Who are these women and what are their stories? You can find out at artmusepodcast.com.
For our audioography today, you can watch Golden Girls streaming online. It's currently on Hulu with a subscription and on Philo without. It's available for sale on YouTube, Apple, and more.
You can order Stan's book, The Girls, From Golden to Gilmore, at bookshop.org. The link is in our description. You can also find out more about Stan Zimmerman at zimmermanstan.com. And a little book that I enjoyed reading is TV Milestone series, The Golden Girls by Kate Brown. The advertising you hear on this show covers only very little of the cost of producing the show. The very best way to support this show and not hear ads and get some cool insider info and videos is on patreon.com/80stvladies. Your support goes directly to supporting the show.
We hope 80s TV Ladies brings you joy and laughter and lots of fabulous new and old shows to watch, all of which lead us forward toward being amazing ladies of the 21st century.